Good morning, everyone. This is Matt from the city of Reno. We're just waiting on a few others to join the call, including Mayor Sheevy. So we'll hope to get started here soon. Thanks.
And this is John. I've allowed folks to record on their end and go after that. So please, by all means, if you need any of that when you pop in, just let me know.
Hey, Matt, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you for joining us, Mayor. I think we're about ready to start if everyone else is on the call. So thank you everyone for joining us for the launch of the Hopeful Cities campaign. Today we have Reno Mayor Hillary.
Hi, Matt, can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Can you hear me? No?
Hold on. Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Hopefully everyone else on the call can hear me as well.
Is John on today too, or no? Is it just you?
Yeah, John is on as well.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
All right. Good. Let's see. Can we hear everyone? Catherine, can you hear us?
Hi, I can.
Okay, good. Perfect. Hi, Dr. Belfer. Nice to meet you. Okay, so Matt, do you want me to turn it over to you or John? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll give a little intro. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us for the launch of the Hopeful Cities campaign. Today we have Reno Mayor Hillary Sheevy, we have Catherine Getsky, the iFred founder, and the brains behind Hopeful Cities, and we also have Dr. Myron Belfer. So Mayor, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. First of all, I hope everyone had a nice Christmas. It's always so hard to get right back into the swing of things on Monday, isn't it? So I appreciate everyone's time and being here. And many of you have been on my pressers for my COVID committee for months now. But one of the things that we've been working hard on as well that many of you probably don't know is the science of hope, and to launch an initiative called Hopeful Cities, which I'm really excited about because we keep talking about this tidal wave of COVID and the first wave and the second wave. And really what I think is going to be the biggest tidal wave sort of affecting all of us across the country and across the world, honestly, is our mental health. And so I really got passionate about bringing something to the city that we could all embrace, and that is the science of hope. And I was just reading some statistics that with every COVID death, there are 10 people grieving, and I actually think that is a very, very low number, quite honestly, if you think about sort of the unrelated deaths to COVID and not being able to be around family and friends to celebrate their life, or just sort of the loneliness that everyone is feeling in isolation, and just the toll that it's taken on us mentally, I think, is something that we have to pay attention to. And it's something that I think every city is going to find a massive challenge in, if we don't start addressing what the after effects are going to be on our mental health. But so much of this pandemic, we've been working on our physical health. And so I'm really excited to launch this initiative. We are the first in the country to do Hopeful Cities, and other mayors across the country are excited to adopt this initiative. But as you guys all know, I'm a very competitive mayor, so I always like to be the first out of the gate. And so we're excited to launch this pilot. I have some incredible guests with me today. Today we have Catherine Getsky, who has just been a tremendous advocate in mental health. She's known all over the country for all her work on the science of hope. And then we have someone incredibly special, and that's Dr. Belfer. Nice to meet you. And by the way, happy birthday from all of us here at the city of Reno. See, you didn't know that, but a little birdie told us that it was your birthday. So
Thank you very
we're
much.
grateful that you're spending your birthday with us, Dr. Belfer. But you have an impressive resume. You were with the WHO for, I think, 5 years or so. I read up on you, and you're just impressive. So I am so grateful to have you here and to launch our Hopeful Cities initiative. But you are a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. And then also you are the senior associate in psychiatry at Boston Children's Hospital. And you're going to talk to us today about the science of hope and everything behind that and the studies. And I just think it's so fascinating, because what we really know is that hopelessness is the root of anxiety and depression and so many things that fester inside of us. And I don't think that we've done a great job of learning how to handle and manage those kinds of things. So I want to be a city that embraces that. So I'm grateful that you're here. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the science of hope?
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. It's a great pleasure to be here today. And I want to congratulate the Reno City Council, yourself, in other words, Catherine Getsky, and the many other people who I'm sure helped to bring this Hopeful Cities launch to fruition. My interest in hope began actually when I was doing clinical work at the Boston Children's Hospital. And I'll tell you just a very brief story, which I think is important. I worked with the surgeons at Children's Hospital and at the Brigham Women's Hospital. And I observed that one of the very famous surgeons working with head and neck cancer patients who had a terrible prognosis. In other words, that he never spoke to them about prognosis. In other words, he always spoke with them about what their next procedure would be. I realized after a while that what he was doing was actually offering them hope. Okay. If he focused on what he was going to do surgically, it would have raised a lot of other questions. In other words, but he offered, in other words, the idea that there was hope for the future. And I think that that, without his knowing it, actually drew on a lot of studies, both in religious studies and in other medical studies, showing that hope is both a protective factor and also a factor that helps people to actually live longer. There are studies that show that people who have hope, in other words, live longer. In other words, they're better able to overcome illness. They're better able to overcome stresses of a variety of types. It's always been thought until Catherine and her group of researchers did work in this area, that it was sort of amorphous. Okay, well, hope is a nice concept. It's like optimism. It's like a lot of good things. But actually, through the research that Catherine's group did and many and others, in other words, it's been shown that you can operationalize hope, that actually you can teach hope. And that's a breakthrough. In other words, the idea that you can set up a curriculum, that you can set up public information, that you can get people to think about hope and to embrace it, to utilize it in their everyday life. And when this has been done, and it's been done in Northern Ireland, in Asia, elsewhere. Studies have been done to evaluate operating of hope, making it feasible. That these studies have shown that it really works, that you can do it, not only with children, but with adults. And I think this is particularly important because we're now with the COVID-19 and with the fear of illness, with the fear of death, with the fear of loss of job. Parents, in other words, have anxiety, depression, and this resonates with their children. In other words, the children adopt the same fears, the same concerns. So you have a whole family, sometimes a whole community that lives with this kind of anxiety and depression. And I think Hopeful Cities and the kind of curriculum that Hopeful Minds offers, in other words, can bring about a major change in both attitude and I hope outcomes. I think it's going to be very interesting to see if in Reno you can demonstrate really more positive outcomes, not see the kinds of disruption and dismay that have embraced so many other cities, in other words, and made life so difficult. So I'm happy to answer questions, but I think this is really quite a remarkable accomplishment, and I wish you the very best. I'll do anything possible to be supportive of it, because no, I think other people are going to want to emulate you. In other words, I think it's the important thing is that hope is not stigmatizing. Okay, you're not saying to people, go see the psychiatrist, in other words, and you'll be better. You're really saying that you can focus on something very positive and have a good outcome. And I think that's really important.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about so many people right now are feeling hopelessness, especially whether you've had COVID-19, you've lost someone to COVID-19, you've lost your job, or you've had to shut down your business. I mean, in every aspect of our life today, I keep hearing stories of hopelessness. And I really think it's something that we have to continue to really message to our community that there is hope out there. And that's what I hope to do with this initiative. And I think what it's really exciting is this is tangible.
Right.
And Catherine always talks about it, like people always think of hope as a wish,
Right.
but we need to start thinking of hope as something that is obtainable.
Right.
And so it really sort of changes the concept in your mind, how we embrace hope. And I hope to do that as a city.
Right.
So she has an incredible curriculum that will be free to all of our residents here in the city of Reno. We have different initiatives under our Hopeful Cities project, and it's very, very cool. As you know, we've also rolled out Talkspace. We'll get more into that in January, but it will be a comprehensive initiative around hope and the outcomes of what that can do for a city. So I'm really grateful to have your expertise at the table. So thank you so much, Dr. Belfort, and happy birthday.
Thank you, but thank you for having me here. Appreciate it.
No pun intended. We hope you have a great birthday. And I'm going to send it over to Catherine. Thank you. All right, Catherine Getsky, tell us all about iFred, what you've been doing. Your background is impressive as well. And I'm just grateful to have you and be your partner with our Hopeful Cities initiative.
Thank you. I am super excited to be here today. And thank you so much, Dr. Belfort and Mayor Hillary Sheev for doing this in the city of Reno. It's super exciting. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. So let's see how this goes, just to share what we're doing for Hopeful Cities. So there's a website, hopefulcities.org, that anyone can go to. And again, this is really hope in action. So hopelessness has been defined as a feeling of despair and a sense of helplessness. So there's an emotional component to hopelessness, and then there's a motivational component. And so what we aim to do is teach people how to get from despair to positive feelings, and how to get from helplessness to inspired action. So if you go to our website, you can sign up for updates. The first thing we've done is we've created a 30-day hope challenge. So it's 30 days, you get an email a day, and it's one thing you can do to take action in your life towards hope. That's something that anyone throughout the city can access. As we said too, you can measure your hope. So if you're interested in kind of what is hope all about and how do people measure it, you can go to this link and it'll actually take you to hope scales where you can take the hope test. We have Gardens for Hope, Teach Hope. So this will actually take you to Hopeful Minds, which is our website. We have a free curriculum that anyone can go and download that teaches the how-to of hope. It's for K through 6, but you can really use it for any ages. And we also have a parent's guide on the website. And also, if you're interested in learning about the research around hope, you can go to Why Hope on here. We go through a lot of the studies on hope. There are links to all the hope research on here. It's really been very fascinating for me to study the science of hope and all of the positive outcomes in life related to hope. And that hopelessness is predictive of things like addiction, violence against self, actually weapon carrying at school, which I find really fascinating. So if we want to deal with violence in the school system, we also have to address hopelessness, which is really an underlying cause. Hope predicts how long you live more so or it predicts how well you'll do in school more so than your GPA. So there are a lot of really fascinating studies around hope. But this is really the place where you go and to get information about the campaign itself. We also have yard signs, we'll have billboards to really spread the message throughout the community about hope. The 30-day challenge, there's a link on the website and that takes you to how you sign up for the challenge itself. Let's see, lots of really cool, so there's lots of really cool stuff and how we're kind of operationalizing hope throughout the city. You can also go to our cities page and we have a Reno page that will share the specific resources in Reno for hope. As the mayor mentioned, there's a free talk-based therapy throughout the city. You can access that here. We've also met and been working with the local therapists. They've provided an outline, a spreadsheet where you can actually download it and find local support in Reno itself. So I'm really excited about the campaign. I'm excited to launch this in Reno and see, I'll just stop the share, but see how it goes throughout the city. But again, the aim is to teach as we talk. So to teach, we have 5 keys for hope. We have a workplace campaign. You can print posters and put in your workplace. You can engage your workplaces on the challenge. But it's really teaching the how-to of hope as we kind of talk. So excited to launch it.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I have one of the Hopeful Minds workbooks right here. And from what I understand, all the workbooks will be free to anyone that wants them. And I kind of think this is a great way to sort of do exercises with your children and sort of, because we're all at home right now, especially with parents that want to kind of give their children something to do, but also something really positive to do. These workbooks are incredible and they'll be free to anyone in the city of Reno. But this one is pretty massive. This is the educator's guide. So this is all, we're going to get these into the hands of all of our educators, as many as possible. So I'm really excited about that. But I really believe that, you know, this is the next stage of what we've really got to start focusing on is our behavioral health and what that looks like as we start to climb out of this pandemic. Because unfortunately, I think for years to come, it's going to have certainly taken a toll on so many people. And that's why I felt so passionate about bringing it to our city and making sure that we are paying attention to our mental wellness. I think that that's going to be absolutely critical. And I thought that was interesting. What Dr. Belfer said is that he realized that doctors, when they were talking about their next procedure or whatever that looked like, that he was basically offering hope. And I think in any capacity now more than ever, we've got to be offering hope. That's just really got to be the root of what we do, because we do know that whenever we're feeling anxiety and depression, that it does feel like hopelessness. And if you understand anything about suicide, that's a big root of it, is that massive hopelessness that sort of comes over you like that dark cloud that you just can't get rid of. And we know that we're seeing higher rates of suicide because of this pandemic. And so as a city, I want to make sure that we are taking care of our behavioral health and giving our city the tools that we need to make sure that we're addressing it now more than ever. So I'm really, really excited. These workbooks are amazing. So anyone on this presser, please get it, download it, whatever you need to do, or we'll get you some, but they are just fantastic. So your work is just, it's phenomenal, but all the science of hope is tremendous. I think if we can get to as many people as possible, we can really make a difference. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And again, you can't be in the stress response and hopeful at the same time. And we have so much elevated stress right now with everything that's happening, so much change. And in our upstairs brain, we teach our kids is where we're creative and problem solving and overcoming challenges. And so it's really important that we learn how, the first key to hope is learning how to identify that stress response and understanding what we're feeling and what it's telling us, and then working to get back into that problem solving mode. So thank you for leading us there. It's really wonderful.
Well, I'm excited, and just touch on, because I also thought it was interesting, the outcomes in athletics when you're teaching athletes about hope. What is your findings?
Yeah, it's actually, and these aren't our findings, these are findings related to the scales that we use as we measure hope. It's actually predictive of your athletic performance more so than your ability. So it's really fun when we teach kids about hope. We want them to aspire to hope. We want athletes talking about how they use their hope. I mean, because when you think about hope, it's a vision for something, and it's the ability to get there. And that is a lot of what we're doing in athletes. We have a vision for achieving something, and then can we find our way there? And so your level of hope and of children's hope is so important to really all aspects of life.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited to, like I said, get it in the hands of everyone we possibly can throughout our city and hopefully in other cities as we continue to roll this out. All right. So John, I think I'm sending it back to you.
Sounds good. No other guests are here to speak, correct?
No?
Okay, great. Well, we'll just kind of start at the top. Bob Conrad, if you'd like to chime in.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. We will go down the list here. We'll go to channel 2, either Jefferson or Cynthia.
I have questions here. So it seems like I was looking over the press release and so on, that there were 2 focuses I noticed here, one on kids K through 6 and one on more on adults. Can you explain your focus on the 2 groups and how you're approaching them differently?
Catherine, I'll send it to you.
Perfect. Sure thing. So actually, teens and adults can take the Global Hope Challenge. It's really our first attempt of operationalizing hope at that level. So we basically took the research that we have for the past, we've been looking at this for probably 7 years, like how to actually teach it in the school systems with kids. And we took all of that and created a 30-day program with this funding so that anyone can start understanding the science of hope. And again, it's our first, attempt at doing this. So we will learn as we go. You'll help us kind of gain and improve on the evidence we have around these populations for hope. But we're really the first to ever teach it free globally. So we have to start from somewhere in the field of research, and that's kind of where you start. You have kind of a hypothesis. And that's where I started long ago with, is hope teachable? Can we improve it? And then you continue to run focus groups, get feedback, do surveys, and improve as you go along. But the 30-day challenge, really anyone can take. You can do it with families at home. The K through 6 is a guideline, but we have high schools using it. We have middle schools using it because we don't yet have curriculum for that age group. When we initially started creating the program, we created it for 7 through 10 or 11 because of the increase in suicides that happen at this critical age group, and we wanted to focus on prevention. We know there's a much greater, higher return on investment for prevention than intervention, but still, the World Health Organization and World Bank released a 4-to-1 return on investment for intervening in mental health and an 18-to-1 or over for prevention. And we see this as kind of a preventative measure, teaching kids at this critical young age on how to identify and manage their emotions, how to set SMART goals, how to create a network. I mean, Dr. Belfer has shared that one of the primary indicator of a child's outcome is that they have one best friend or one person they can talk to. And so we ensure that each child has that.
So any age, I guess, Jefferson, I think probably what you're asking is any age can adopt this. It doesn't matter. And I also know your workbooks, you are using those in companies, many different companies, in the same workbook. So really it can be used across all age groups, correct?
Yes, I think I could contribute a little bit to that. The difficulty comes sometimes when you have something that's too sophisticated and then try to make it more understandable for young people. I think it's a somewhat easier task to go from having something which is clearer to young people to older people, because I think that that'll have more impact. In other words, because often the people who are very anxious and depressed are not really prepared cognitively to incorporate a lot of very fancy kind of language or other concepts. They want something that's relatively simple and doable.
And I would just say, as we get older, I'm sure we've lost a lot of the lessons that we learned as we were younger, especially whenever I watched that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Right?
I can
So keep
testify
it
to that.
simple.
Yes,
Better outcomes if you keep it simple,
yes,
sounds like,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, can you talk about your prioritization of mental health coming into the new year? And is this part of what we're going to see in the next year, you prioritizing mental health because of the COVID situation? Talk about that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think now more than ever, and I've been a huge advocate of mental health before COVID, but really, really have realized the magnitude that mental health is playing in our society and certainly in our community, with all the despair that people are seeing, especially within people that I have never seen had challenges of anxiety or depression, like our small business owners. Many of them are just hanging on by a thread. And, you know, I'm talking to people every single day, Jefferson, and they're really anxious, and they're feeling depressed, and they're feeling a lot of hopelessness. They don't quite know what's happening. And as we know, on the government side, it always seems to change and it's uncertain. And so I think right now more than ever, we need to provide some certainty. And I think that's in hope. And we have to hold on and have hope right now more than ever. But I'm seeing it in populations of people that were never having these kinds of issues and anxiety and stress. So if you were someone in this pandemic that you might have been struggling with mental health before then, this just exacerbated it. And we want to make sure that we're really sending that message to those people as well, because we are seeing high rates of suicide and depression and anxiety now more than ever. And we're so isolated. So we've got to come together. This is the way that we can all come together and also stop the stigma. No one wants to talk about, you know, depression and anxiety, but we all need to talk about it so we know that we're in this together and provide hope together. And that's what I really want to be able to, is knock down those barriers of the stigma that comes along with mental health. Now more than ever, we've got to talk about it. You know, to me, it's been very, very personal. I lost my brother and my sister within weeks of each other this year. And just the feeling that I felt with anxiety and depression and grief, it was something that just completely took over me because we were in so much isolation. I wasn't in my usual surroundings that we all are normally in with our nucleus of friends and family. And so we're feeling very, very disconnected. And so now more than ever, I want our community to feel connected. And I think this is a great way to start, but also start talking about mental health and the challenges and ways that we can combat that and bring solutions. I mean, we all talk about it, but we've got to bring solutions. And I think this is a really good start.
So coming into 2020, first of all, sorry for your loss. I want to say that.
Oh, very sweet.
But coming into 2021, are you looking to make this a priority for the city of Reno? And is part of your seeing this or becoming so active, is that part of your own experience from what you said, then you'd have to say, or no?
Sorry, Jefferson, you were cutting out a little bit. I didn't get you all the way.
It's part of prioritizing it because of sometimes when you feel something yourself, oh, I've got to make this a priority. I mean, is that part of your reasoning behind it?
Well, mental health was always a priority of mine before I even got into politics. Matter of fact, it was interesting that I was kind of naive when I got into politics. My first week at the city, I went right into community development and I said, okay, what are the programs that we have for mental health and addiction? And they said, oh, Hillary, you ran for the wrong office. That's over at the county. And I thought to myself, how could this just be so siloed? It needs to be sort of encompassing of an entire city, not just sectors or just jurisdictions. It needs to be brought to the forefront throughout our city, but through our society, right? And I think as more people talk about it, and I really strongly believe government does not do well in embracing mental health. It's typically not a great environment to do that. So I really want to push that forward, because government sort of has a big ego about itself. And we need to sort of knock that down and say, hey, we're all in this together. We all have feelings. We all can understand and relate to each other now more than ever. So it's something that I was really passionate about before, but I think just COVID in general brought us to a place that was incredibly dark and hopeless. And I think, we can all relate to that with this isolation we've been feeling. And not only just the stress of COVID, but also we've also all stressed about how do we stay healthy in a time like this. Our physical health became, at the forefront of something that we probably have taken for granted. We typically tend to do as humans. We take a lot of things for granted. And I think this just brings us back at the table and reminding us to be grateful and have gratitude. But also it's really important now more than ever to have these tools to work through it. Because I think that's the hard part, is that saying, how do we work through it? So it's important to have these tools. And I also believe that so many people have just struggled in silence for far too long. Far too long they've been struggling in silence. And I think COVID really showed that. Like I said, I speak to people every day in our business community, in our medical community, different populations in our community. And I'm hearing that more than ever, sort of this hopelessness. And I think as cities, we've got to address it, or we are not going to come out ahead of this.
So coming into 2021, it will be a priority for the city then?
Yes, absolutely. I obviously, we have a lot of different priorities for 21. I think, now we have to have more hope than ever. Obviously, we have the vaccine on the horizon. Economically, we've got to continue to push for hope and things that are sort of our bright spots, right? So we're really going to focus on that. As you've seen, we're just doing a massive initiative with our shelter, putting in the CARES shelter. And I'm excited about that because it's the first time we are going to really address transitional housing for our homeless population and making sure that they have all the services that they need, from mental health. I think it's really important that they have the care that is so always forgotten about when it comes to our homeless population with addiction and things like that. So we're going to really focus on that. But I think 21 really has to be about a lot about our mental health initiatives and how we come back together as a community and help each other out.
All right, good stuff. We'll move on to channel 4. Kinsey or anyone else on the line? All righty, we will move on to Stanton and Colo. A quiet group here for the holidays. Just one.
I know
last...
it's Monday. It's hard to get back in.
I'm the only one here. I'm the only one here.
Everyone's recording.
Hey, John.
It's fine. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, John. Sorry. Can you elaborate a bit more on this campaign? I'm a little confused. Campaign with references to resources? Is that what this is?
You were kind of going out, Bob. So I don't know. Catherine, did you hear his question?
Yeah, I think it's if I
sorry.
could elaborate.
Yeah, what's
I think we might have lost Bob. Go ahead, Catherine.
sorry.
Okay, what I think I heard him say is elaborate on the campaign and the resources. So that is the idea, is to drive the messaging on the science of hope. So we'll have PSAs, we'll have billboards, we'll have ads. Anyone can run them, and we're working to get them run as well. But we will actually teach the how-to of hope as we do the PSAs. So start identifying the 5 keys of hope. We're driving people to the website where they can take the 30-day challenge, which will then give them one thing a day they can do to work on their hope and teach about the science of hope, what it is, what the stress response is, how that relates to the biology and the body, and start becoming familiar with terminology around hope. And then we also have the curriculums where you can teach hope in the school system. The Boys and Girls Club are going to be using our curriculum. We're getting it in the Washoe County School District with different ages, but anyone can download the curriculum at home. So we teach kind of through the campaign itself. But ultimately, hope is up to individuals. So we can give you all of the information and insight and create bite-sized pieces, but individuals have to do the work really around hope. So that's really the gist of it. And then ensuring residents know about the resources in Reno that are available when they feel hopeless, and what is hopelessness. And it's a normal feeling. And when we can't get from out of despair, we need to be able to reach out for support. We need to know the hotlines. We need to know who to text when we're in crisis. So that's kind of the whole concept and idea around it.
And then Catherine, will they be able to get all the workbooks there? Because Bob, there's incredible workbooks for children and also for educators and parents that are available. I mean, it's impressive. This is an awesome, awesome resource. So is that where we would find it, Catherine, for anyone that's looking?
Yeah, so the Hopeful Minds has the resource books themselves and the education and the curriculum anyone can download and start using in their home or workplace today. HopefulCities.org is actually the website of the campaign and links out to all of the different resources available. It links out to the Hopeful Minds program and curriculum, the science, the hope test, the billboards, creative materials, social media images. So it's a very kind of comprehensive campaign, and that again is at hopefulcities.org. But yes, anyone can use we just updated the curriculum. We took the year to do that based on our latest research around it, and it's very robust. And there's a lot of medical and background for educators. But we developed it in a way that anyone can basically download it and start reading it and start teaching it. It's very well outlined so that we don't, I mean, this is a passion of mine. I have a background in business. So my passion is also making sure that it's accessible for anyone, that costs aren't prohibitive, in getting the science of hope to all of those that need it, especially in vulnerable populations.
All right, well, that's fantastic.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thanks.
Sweet. All right, guys. Well, again, we've got recordings of this if anyone else needed it. And thank you so much for your time, everyone. We're really trying to move things forward in 21. And I'm glad we're taking this stuff out of the shadows. It's time. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And again, happy birthday, Dr. Belfer. I would sing to you, but that would not give you much hope. So I'm not going to sing to you today, but I want to wish you a very, very happy birthday from all of our citizens and our community here in the city of Reno.
Wow. Oh, thank you very much. I'm really impressed, Mayor, that I wish we had leadership like you in a lot of other places. So
well,
thank you very much.
You got a good mayor in Marty Walsh over there. So
okay.
So,
oh, yes, we do.
So if you see him, tell him I said hello.
I sure will. Okay. Take care. Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Thank
birthday, Dr. Belfer. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. Take care,
All
everyone.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.